2022 is right around the corner. What are some things that you want to accomplish next year? Today, I'm actually going to talk about a topic that I'm equally as passionate about. I'm passionate about hair. I'm actually passionate about a lot of different things, but today we're talking about planning and setting goals for our upcoming year. I think the timing is very perfect because 2022 is right around the corner, believe it or not. I honestly can't believe it because I feel like this year flew by. But if you're in a position where you feel like the year went by without you accomplishing anything, I think this video will be really good for you because it'll help you set yourself up for success when it comes to the upcoming year. So I have some notes down here that I'm going to look at as I'm talking to make sure that I don't miss any points because I want this video to be beneficial for you. So thank you much for watching. If you made it this far on this channel, I share a lot of content. I also recently launched a small business and I'll be sharing with you behind the scenes and different things that I'll be experiencing through that journey. So right now I'm actually at my 2022 planning phase. I do this, I'm not going to say every year because last year I did not plan the year 2020, but this year was a lot different because I sat down and wrote a plan. Now I will start off by saying that a lot of the principles and mindsets that I take on when it comes to planning are pulled straight from the Bible. I am a Christian and that informs a lot of the different things that I do. So I want to start off with the scripture and I'm going to include the scriptures on here as I'm talking, that says that without a vision, the people perish. So that it's pretty self-explanatory, but just to break it down a little bit, think about if you wanted to start an organization to help the community and you did not put in place who you wanted to help, where you wanted to help them, how you wanted to help them, and where you're going to gather resources from, the likelihood of that organization lasting for a really long time is going to be pretty low because there's no plan in place. Basically, there's no direction. So if you think about your upcoming year, if there's no plan in place, you really could go any direction. And we understand that things happen in life. Sometimes we have to take some turns. Sometimes we have to improvise with the circumstance at hand, but I think having a plan gives you a home base. Now, in a little bit, I'll talk about the different areas of my life that I plan, but I wanted to start off by talking about why it's important to plan. It gives you a sense of direction and it also helps you accomplish the things that you'd like to accomplish. The Bible also tells us write the vision down and make it plain. There is power in writing things down and I'll explain to you why. It actually doesn't even have to be something fancy. So I want to start off by showing you what my vision board looked like for this year. It honestly was just a bunch of writing on the paper. Now, some of these things happened. Actually, majority of them happened. And some of them did not just because of the pandemic circumstances. But I want to show you this to show you that it doesn't have to be something complicated. What I did with this is I put it in a place where I could see it every day. I was constantly looking at it because that reminded me, okay, Laura, you need to work on this. You need to work on this. One of my big things was to have a healthy baby. And even though that was my plan, that was my expectation, there are things that I needed to do. There are steps that I needed to take to ensure that I had a healthy delivery. Again, some things are out of our control, but if you plan and try your best, most likely things end up working out for the most part. I just talked about the importance of planning and basically it gives you a sense of direction. It also gives you things to work on day to day. You know, oftentimes we talk about things that we want to accomplish and I shared this in my video when I talked about my launch. But I started thinking about my business in 2016. Never took any steps, never wrote anything down, never really tried to put any action items to the things that I needed to do. And it was until I actually did that, which was earlier this summer, that I actually ended up seeing a result and I ended up seeing something come of the business. And here we are today. You know, sometimes I sit down and I think about some of the things that I wrote down and I see that they've actually happened. And it's like, wow, something went from pen to actual real life. It became something. So I want to challenge you to write down some things that have been on your mind, some things that seem, and this is another thing too, the things that seem impossible, the things that seem like they're wild dreams, for lack of better words, write them down. You'd really surprise yourself in your ability to accomplish those things. And that's one of the things on this channel that I hope to do, is to inspire other people to do the things that they do want to do. Of course, we talk about hair and natural hair journeys, because some of us are on the fence of being natural. Some of us are on the fence of starting locks, but it goes beyond that. It's not just about hair. There are other parts of your life that you probably have wanted to start something new. There are things that you wanted to try and have been intimidated, just like natural hair, just like locks, if you're considering getting locks, which, by the way, if you are, 100% go ahead and do it. So the sooner you start, the sooner you jump into it. But the importance of planning really is it gives you a sense of direction. It gives you something to work towards. And I desire so much for everybody to walk in, to accomplish whatever purpose is inside of them. One of the things that I've really tried to do this year is to try and push and inspire people who are around me to do the things that are inside of them. Honestly, the only thing that's preventing us from doing the thing that we want to do is a decision. Sometimes we think about it, but we've not made the decision to start. And you don't have to have all the information to start. Now, this is me, I'm deviating a little bit, but this is how passionate I am about it, because I've seen delay operate in my life where I've pushed things off, where I've been intimidated by starting things. You never know what's on the other side of whatever it is that you need to start, but that's neither here or there. So the next thing I want to talk about is the tools that you should use to plan, or that I should say the tools that you could use to plan to help you be successful. Now, I got this legendary planner, and it's a month view calendar, but you really could use any planner. I love the month view because it gives me an idea of everything that's going on that month. And this helps you with the accountability piece. So every month you're working towards whatever it is that you need to work on. I heard someone say that if you want to accomplish a particular thing, do one thing towards it every day. And it doesn't have to be a physical thing. You could be thinking about it. You could be writing something down about it. You could be researching, and that helps you get one step closer to whatever it is that you're trying to do. I use Google Calendar, which is on my calendar, and that's linked to my phone. So I'm constantly getting reminders of different things that I need to be working on. But I think the most important part of this particular video is telling you the different areas that I plan, because I'm titling it How to Plan for Your New Year. Now, I divide my planning session into different parts. I start off, and I'm going to list them off to you. So I'm going to read these off to you in a little bit. And the reason why I break it up into so many different categories is because we're multifaceted. Is that even the word that I want to use? There are different parts to us as human beings, and we need to make sure that we're addressing those different parts, because if you neglect one, then it impacts other parts. It almost creates like a domino effect. And I'll give you an example of one. So I break it up into spiritual goals, career goals, financial goals, relational goals, any type of project that I have going on. I set goals for those, health goals. And then at the end, I just put it all into one big plan or create a vision board. This year, I wrote down a detailed plan. The more detailed you can get, the better it's going to get. So I want to explain to you why addressing different areas of our lives are important. So I had health goals last year. And one thing that I've realized about myself is if I'm successful in one area, it creates a domino effect in the rest of the other areas of my life. So for instance, if I'm eating healthy and working out regularly, which is a goal that I set for myself, then I'm able to be disciplined. And when I'm disciplined in that area, then that discipline transfers into other areas of my life. So starting off with working out, if let's say I commit to maybe moving my body a few times a week, then I find that that impacts my eating because I'm more cautious of my health. And then that impacts my sleep patterns, making sure that I'm sleeping on time, I'm getting enough rest for my body. And then that makes me more productive in the hours that I am awake, which makes me more effective in other areas. So I hope you see how the domino effect happens. So start with one area and it'll spread into the other areas. But I really recommend writing down the different areas and then writing goals underneath them. And you have to get specific. We hear about SMART goals often, which they have to be specific, measurable, actionable. I think, is it reachable, time bound? There's an R. The R is something. I think I'm mixing that up with something. I'll probably correct it, or maybe not. I'll just let it go. So you want to make sure that you're as specific as possible with each goal. So if your goal is to get 8 hours of sleep every night for the upcoming year because you realize that you don't sleep enough, then you're going to put a plan in place to make sure that that happens. Meaning that when I don't know, if you work my 8-hour day, I work, then I'm going to make sure that I get dinner done by this time every night. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to get my groceries on this particular day for it to happen. Now, this is not saying that you have to be rigid in your approach to life, because flexibility is key, but it gives you direction. I'm going to take a look at my notes and see if there's something else. Oh yeah, accountability. So when you set these plans for your upcoming year, you want to make sure that you have an accountable measure. Either you're sharing them with somebody. So then there's something about when somebody knows something you're working on, you have to work on it because they'll ask you, or you'll constantly feel like they're watching to see if that particular thing is happening. So tell somebody about it if you feel comfortable. And then the second piece is putting it in a place where you're seeing it constantly. If you have to write it on a piece of paper and pin it up, I promise you, you're going to be successful. Last year, I wanted to lose weight and I ended up losing close to 30 pounds because I wrote down the plan. I wrote down what I was going to eat every day, how I was going to eat it, what times I was going to eat, the workouts that I was going to do. I didn't just write, I'm going to work out on these days. I wrote the specific workouts that I was going to do, and I was successful in that. So that's an example to show you how being specific is able to give you a result. So 2022 is right around the corner. What are some things that you want to accomplish next year? You don't want another year to go by where you're like, wow, this year just flew by, or where you just have those pending dreams and ambitions because you did not plan to get through it. So I thought about this because I'm about to meet with a friend and we're about to talk about our 2022 goals. And I thought, oh my goodness, I want to share this with somebody. And if you're a person of prayer, I highly recommend praying before you start your goals, because I believe God will show you the areas that you need to focus on for the upcoming year, the areas that need attention, the areas that are going to lead you to your next step in life. So hopefully this was helpful. I do want to hear if it was helpful as well. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.